Hello there, Outliers. Nyama Shang here, and thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey here today. We are here with an incredible roundtable with Alicia, Ontiveros, and Andrea Riposati. Alicia, Andrea, thank you so much for making the time to be here today. I know we're in for an incredible conversation.
Yeah, it's
Great.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, Outliers, we join here on Outliers Edge Live to continuously see how people are creating new goals and continue to up level themselves as they are creating things externally. And so, right now, I think it'd be really great for us to get an idea as to the games each of you are playing. Alicia, why don't we start with you? Would you mind letting us know more about you and the game you're currently playing?
Yeah, my name is Alicia. I'm CEO of Veros Inc. It's a, creative company out of Los Angeles. The game I'm playing, in one sense, is kind of like a me versus me on being able to follow my creative pursuits. In Los Angeles, I was in Chicago for many years, working at like a boutique agency over there, and have been in LA just for 2 years now, shifting my career into film and television. So it's been a interesting time. I started this shift during the pandemic, and then there were the writer strikes, and now there's AI, and there's a lot of stuff really impacting the creative arts. So it's really, though, I try to focus on how I'm getting in my own way, and trying to just make the game me versus me, because otherwise there are a lot of things you can't control that can get in your way. But trying to move our projects forward.
So much for that, Alicia. Like there was something here when you said me versus me. Like I was looking at Andrea at the same time. We are both like, yeah, we get that game. We get that game here, right? Outliers, we're in for a good time here. Thank you, Alicia, for sending us in here. Andrea, let's get to know you. You might let us know more about you and the game you're currently playing.
Thank you. So I'm Andrea Riposati, CEO of Dante Labs. So the game I'm currently playing is a game of trying to help people by leveraging the most advanced scientific discoveries in genomics and trying to make genomics accessible to everyone and to people around the world who needs an answer on personalized prevention and diagnosis of a rare disease, on a family history of a disease, so that they can take actions to improve their lives with the help of their doctors, with the help of specialists, or even on their own.
Oh, this is y'all are both like pushing the envelope. I feel with when I'm hearing you talk, like you're not just doing more of what has already been done, but you're finding different ways to continue to expand. And I wanted to say, like, as we get into this conversation, thank you for the way that thank you for the games you've chosen to play, and for the level in which you've chosen to play it at. Right. So why don't we get started with this question here as we come in? I want to get a sense from each of you around like what when I hear the things you're doing, they all feel like they're not like the status quo. They're not the things that like most other people are doing, or they're not going about it in the way that most other people would. So, what do you think is something that you use? Maybe it's a belief you have that most other people don't, that allows you to, or like that fuels you to create in the way that you are. Let me know if I need to repeat that question. If I need to make it like more succinct, I can do that.
For me, I would say, I think with most creatives, like creatives need to believe that they have a perspective that's different than other people, that's worth hearing, that's worth, if it's a TV show or a movie, that's worth watching, that's worth connecting with. And so I think one of the reasons that I really wanted to shift back into film and television was to tell stories that I felt weren't being told, to represent my perspective and maybe my lived experience more, which would help other people also be seen. So I think that is a core belief that a lot of creatives struggle with, as they have the ups and downs of a creative life. Is not easy. It comes with a lot of rejection, as does any entrepreneurial journey. But it's really believing that that you have a perspective that needs to be heard, that's worth hearing, and that can serve other people that are also like similarly not being represented in the field.
Mm-hmm. Andrea, what comes to you on this one?
So I love, that Alicia said about rejections, because I think for me, what brought me into the game is, and what is maybe a little bit unique about me, is my super positive attitude to life and my very strong belief that the future can be better than the past, And but it's up to us. So we have the tools to make the future better, and not just for ourselves. And actually, the most fulfilling way to make our own future better is to make other people's future better and really help people. And sometimes, so I'm in science, in genomics. What I realize is also that sometimes you don't need to make the next big discovery, but it's also super important to take a lot of different pieces from different fields, from software to AI, genomics, medicine, and then to connect all these pieces together, and then add another layer of technology innovation to that, and you can really make a lot of big impact, on people's lives. And people's, it's not just the people you meet on the street. It can be someone living in the middle of the Australian desert. Can be someone, living in a country where they have no access to basic healthcare. And then at the end of the day, I feel better about myself because I have helped them. And as I mentioned, when there are rejections, there are problems, I always think that the future can be better. And again, it's up to us to make it better.
This element of like the future can be better, like it ignites something inside of me. It's not lost on me as we're having this conversation that like Alicia, like you're like I'm here, like I am creative, I'm here for that, I'm here to build out that. And Andrea, you're like I'm living in like science, engineering, genomics, like and I love that. Like for me, that is the part of the reason why I love to bring people together through like Outlier's Edge, right? Because it's like now we get a chance to have a bit of what you're talking about, Andrea, where it's like we can see different perspectives and see how can we take this thing that appears to be true in one area and and apply it, or perhaps innovate based on that in our own area. So I hope the two of you are able to to find some things that play out here. Hopefully you get to play in a, I don't know, get a stretch in a different way today. So, Alicia, I heard Andrea share about like one of his superpowers, and I want to get a chance to like see some of yours. So, would you mind? Well, the way I'll ask this question is, would you mind sharing your superpowers, and then how do you unlock your teams or the people that you work with, your teams, your clients, whoever it is? How do you unlock them to bring their powers up to the table as you go forth?
I think one of my superpowers is listening. I think recently my brother-in-law told me that I'm the most empathetic person he's ever met. And I was like, oh, really? Okay, yeah, okay. There's a little questionnaire also that my sister gave to me and my other sister about, it was supposed to reveal things about you. You have to pick your favorite form of water, your favorite color, and your favorite animal. And my favorite form of water was tears, because I think it's really important to be able to express yourself and to allow yourself to feel, really feel. And I do that a lot. I am quick to have emotion, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I think what's really important is that we let emotion, I think it's one of the reasons we're alive, is to feel emotion. I mean, if we're blocking emotion, it's like, why are we even here as humans? But I do think, you have to feel and let feeling go through you and not get stuck in you and allow yourself to get stuck in a negative emotion. Emotions teach us something. So if anger is coming to you or sadness is coming to you or whatever it is, it's trying to teach you something. So the key is to really pay attention to it and to try to learn from it and not let it get stuck and lodged in you in a way that gets you stuck, which it will, because we're human and we're not perfect robots dealing with this thing. We're trying to, and that's a learning experience in and of itself. So I would say that my superpower is probably empathy, and trying to work with that and use it as a tool to, it's the source for a lot of creatives. That's the source of, your creative spirit, is being able to lock into emotion, being able to emote through storytelling. And I love doing that. Did I answer your question? Was there another part to that? I can't remember if I dropped something.
It feels good. It feels like we have there's many different ways that we can take it. I just wanted to look at like you and beyond. And so I'm hearing that like for you, your superpower is being able to tap into both emotion and empathy. And there's a third part in there, which is like storytelling, right? Because like everything keeps coming back to stories. And what I'm hearing is that like by accessing both emotion and empathy and not bottling things in, you're able to tell more compelling. You're able to get the story across in a more compelling way. Let me make sure I'm not making up things.
Yeah. And I would also say that one really important part, and it would be interesting to see what Andrea thinks about this and the kind of business that he's in, but intuition is really important for creative arts. And I have found that listening to my intuition is such a huge part of my success. So anytime I've had like a huge hit of anything that I've done, it's always, I knew from the moment I had the idea that it was going to sing. I just knew it. So then it was going through the creative process, which is not a smooth process. You can have the great idea, you can see the end product, and then it's all the steps to get to the place of actually having the thing. And within that, there is a cycle of self-doubt. There's a cycle of, oh, this idea actually sucks. I'm not going to be able to do this. Like, oh my God, I can't find the right music, like all of those. But then in the end, if you just keep going through it, you can get to the end product. And so I think trusting the intuition is so important. But it's a battle too, because a lot of things get in the way of that.
Yes, and I think you're totally right. And honestly, like, if you are an entrepreneur, like any entrepreneurs, probably like emotions are the most important factor that determine all the problems, but also all the successes and all the victories. And being able to think about issues, or like launch a business and make decisions, try not to have emotions is great. It's probably not the best way, but also through problems, trying to remove the negative emotions and think rationally about problems, and also trying to disconnect the business from the person, which is super hard, especially at the beginning. I think that management of emotions is probably the single skill that is the most important one, I think, for any entrepreneur. And for me, I believe you can only learn it if you become an entrepreneur, or if you are the captain of a, let's say, of a team or a sports team, right? So any type of emotion and being able to manage other people's emotions, really try to nurture and try to create positive emotions and motivation and courage. I think it's super important. And then also in parallel, when something bad happens or there is a problem, remove the negative emotions from the other people. So, take everything on our backs. But then also, trying to remove the negative emotions from inside us and really, manage the business in a rational way. But that is really, I think, the most interesting and the most maybe excruciating, but also the most fascinating part about being an entrepreneur. That make every day, the worst possible day and the best possible day. Like twice or three times during the same day.
There's something in what you said there, Andrea, I that I really appreciate, which is like you talked about like managing emotions, and what was coming to me here. I'm gonna stay a little bit in like the emotions and intuition world, because I'm like this I feel like it'd be really cool to see what lines up. And here goes the thing with y'all, like it doesn't need to. Like we don't need to like bring everything together in like a nice like little bow around it all. Like if there's like no, that just doesn't work in my world, then like let's talk about that. Let's give room and space for that. But what was coming to me was this was thinking about Andrea, like, okay, in order to manage people's emotions or help them manage their emotions, like, what are the skills that are required for that? What are the things that help make that really like make that work really well? And I was wondering to myself, I was like, okay, is it about like how well do you need to know emotion in order to be able to help other people like navigate and guide their way through it? I was thinking that I was like, oh, is that actually empathy? It isn't, but there's an element of like how familiar do you need to be with your own emotion in order to be able to like create that and guide that with people you're managing, or like guiding an organization or something even beyond that. Does anything like I'm curious if there's anything there. There may not be anything, but if there is something there, I would love to hear from either of you about what's coming up to you on that.
I think definitely empathy and capacity of to listen, as Alicia said before. That's super important, because if you don't have empathy, you don't even understand what people may feel when you say something, right? But then on top of that, I think also a spirit of sacrifice and a spirit of being a magnet of all the emotions around you and around your team, and being able to absorb them and then manage them. It's also important, and really showing that by what you do, like showing leadership, not in terms of giving commands, but really about making the biggest sacrifices, being working the hardest, and really being sympathetic to people's needs. In the end, your colleagues are people, and your customers are people, your vendors are people, and they're never companies. Everyone is people, and so definitely that empathy, and I think you need to know your emotions. You need to be able to feel emotions for sure. Otherwise, you cannot feel the other people's emotion. And sometimes you can make a beautiful plans, and I've seen many plans that work very well on paper, and the intuition tells you that I don't know if it's the right thing, and usually the intuition is right. Yes, those plans that make sense on paper, they don't make sense in the real world.
I think also I've seen in terms of I've worked a lot, even as a creative, with a lot of businesses, really, really big businesses that have hundreds of thousands of people employed around the world. And it's interesting to see how the trends in, I would say, acknowledging people and their whole selves. I remember when I was young, maybe getting my first job when I was 18 or so, hearing the phrase, you have to check your personal life at the door and come to work. And the moment I heard that, I was like, no, because that's a business trying to, segregate a human being's experiences so that they don't get in the way of the business imperative or objective. I mean, I totally understand why it's important for there to be a time and a place for things. But when you do that to your employees and you say, I don't want to hear about how your grandma died, how your kids are sick, how whatever is going on in your world should not affect your work world, you are rejecting them in a way that's going to create problems in the future. And I think it's interesting how people and companies have tried to deal with that. I've seen a big company that I worked with had a whole campaign for many years around seeing the whole person and being able to know that it was okay if you had something you needed to talk about, to find a resource within the company to help deal with that. Because I think the problem that we end up having then is if you're going to reject a person's whole life experience and have them, only focus on the business, you're creating a situation in which that person's probably going to experience burnout, probably is feeling unseen and unheard. And then they're going to leave your company, and you're now going to have a hole you have to fill that's a lot more expensive if we want to talk about, in business terms. Like, how do you replace that person? And maybe that person was really wonderful, and now you've got to headhunt, and there's a lot of time and money spent in trying to find someone to fill the gap. So if you have really valuable high performers, I think it's really important to acknowledge their whole selves and find a way that the business can help work through difficult emotions or moments or seasons in these people's lives that are going to affect how they work, and acknowledging that rather than trying to pretend like it doesn't exist.
I agree, and I can give you a couple of examples. I had once this employee, and he had some personal problems, and he wanted to talk about it and about them. And so we went outside the office. We started walking around the office, and by the time we finished, it was the sunset. And then I had another case of different employee, and he also had some personal problems, family problems he needed to take care of. And he just asked me, hey, he needed 2 weeks off, and he didn't want to talk about it. It was very clear that he did not want to talk about it. And I felt it was my duty to respect his privacy. And both approaches are fine, but if you don't feel emotions, you don't have empathy, if you're not a good listener, you cannot understand the differences and the nuances. So I don't think a company can create a rule like leave emotions at the door, or bring them with you, or leave them, I don't know, in the meeting room somewhere. It depends on people, and I think it's all about respecting people and your colleagues and your partners, the business partners, everyone who's in touch with the company. But you cannot create a rule and write it down and make it the same rule for everyone.
I really appreciate it. I'm realizing as you're talking, just parts inside of me that is lighting up, and the nuances that you all are bringing in, like the examples are really helpful. I'm thinking outliers, and I want you to think of this for yourself. Like, what is the culture you're creating, both like externally in terms of what you say, and how do you actually show up? Like Andrea, when you said like we walked out and then we talked until the end of the evening, like for me, I was like, that's powerful. Like that's like there's an element in that story where I was like, you walk your talk. Literally in this case, you actually walked it. It seems, but like there's a level of integrity and congruence that I think is paramount to top performers, high performers, like wanting to work with organizations. There's cool things that get done, but how we do it also makes a difference. And I think you're both really speaking to something really important here. I'm about to go and ask another question. Is there anything else either of you would want to bring in around any part of this topic?
I think what you just said now, and this is something that happened to me. The risk, Philip, as an entrepreneur, is that then when your company grows, you get tangled into bureaucratic activities, and you start needing to have some rules. And so there is a risk of then losing that culture and losing those original values of talking the walking the talk and doing those things. And then it sometimes, and that happened to me, that after then let's say a year, I realized, okay, why are we doing this? This is not us, and I don't care about this. We should not behave about like a big corporation, right? We are not a big corporation. We should go back to our original culture. But definitely, that risk of losing that, I would say, authenticity. For me, it's the biggest risk for any company.
Yeah, there's something when you talk about authenticity. So before I did this, I was working in company culture at a tech company in New York City, and one of the things that we said was we want to help people bring their best self to work so they can do their best work. And eventually I just want you to bring your full self. Like if we can bring your full self in and create from there, we can make something come in. But there's an element of the culture that gets created and that level of authenticity and alignment that I think also speaks through. And so Outliers, like part of what I'm hoping that I want you to like leave a message. Let us know one of the things that right now is like really sticking out to you in this conversation. But there's part of the reason why we have these conversations here to be able to help highlight what is authentic, right? Help like ask yourself, okay, how am I showing up right now with my clients, with myself? Going back to Alicia's me versus me game that's taken on here. Like just give yourself a quick like 2 minute like inventory to see like, all right, how am I showing up right now, and am I actually showing up in alignment with the way that I want to? Because what I'm loving about this conversation is that we can come from wildly different like starting points. Like I mean, it feels we're more aligned than not, but like we can start from very different starting points. But how you do the action really is what like seems to be a common thread of it. Like who you are being as you're doing it is really speaking through. So let me come in here. There's oh man, there's two things here. All right, I'll bring in what's getting me a little bit excited, and I'll come back to something that one of you said. So right now, I'm just really curious. Like I think highly of both of you here. You're out playing the Outlier game. I'm curious right now about something that like a product you're taking on that really excites you. That might get like your hands a little sweaty when you go talk about it, or you're like all right, like it's something that is calling you to have to become more than what you were like the day before. Would you each of you mind sharing that with us here as Outliers? Would love to see like what you're creating right now, and whether it could be very external, it could be whatever it is, but like let us know here what's something you're working on that's giving you sweaty palms right now.
Andrea, you can go first.
I love this.
So what we are creating right now, it's a new genomic test that looks at both your DNA, which we were all born with the DNA. It's the source code of our body, so that doesn't change during your life. And the DNA tells you when you have some variants or mutations, but it doesn't tell you when they get activated, right? I may be born with a predisposition for diabetes, but I only get diabetes when I'm 45 or something like that. So now what we're working on is a product on top of the DNA, which is called RNA. And so this will be the first integrated DNA plus RNA analysis, so that we can tell people, okay, you have a predisposition for this disease, or even like this condition, or you should eat less of this food or more this food. But also, is that getting activated? And the beauty is that with the RNA, it's the earliest possible signal of activation. Even before you see the symptoms, even before you see changes in your proteins and your metabolism. So this is really like personalized early detection for a lot of different conditions. Things are bad and good, right? And so I'm very excited about it because it is a challenge, right? It's a software challenge, a biology challenge, technology challenge, operations challenge, but it's also fascinating. We have had already some cases where we gave super important life-saving answers to people using technologies that are super innovative. And again, for me, it's going back to the people and seeing the impact that we really have on their lives. That's what really makes me, really excites me. So that's why this is what we're working on right now.
That's really interesting. I recently had some testing for the breast cancer gene in my family because it runs in my family, and found out that I don't have, I guess, the markers that we know of right now that cause breast cancer. But I have such a deep history that I have a very heightened risk for it. And so the idea that, not with just with cancer, but with any type of disease, that we'd be able to see when things are turning on sounds just so amazing in terms of being able to prevent progression of the disease and get it when it's, early, right? And that hopefully, I think the promise also with advances in these types of scientific fields is that hopefully we can get the price point to where it's very accessible for people. And how is that factoring in, Andrea, to the journey that you're on with those types of like cutting edge technology?
So now, price point, I agree with you. Price point is important. And before starting my company, I was at Amazon for a few years in Seattle. So, looking at being customer centric and lowering prices. So now we're able to lower the prices to hundreds of dollars, a few hundreds of dollars, below $500, which is super important because so what we can do today, before you mentioned breast cancer, it's famous case in the U.S. is Angelina Jolie, and I believe at the time she paid something like $20,000 for her breast cancer, and even Steve Jobs paid $100,000 for his whole genome sequencing test. And now these same tests, and actually even better technology, because science technology have evolved since then. So now they are available to everyone below $500. So for me, this is real innovation, right? That you can have access today to better technologies or what multimillionaires and multi-billionaires paid just a few years ago at a price which is way lower than that it was a few years ago. And so it's the opposite of what's happening in terms of the economy. So instead of having a divergence, now you have a convergence where most advanced medical technologies, they're becoming available for more and more people.
Yeah,
This is
that's
exciting.
beautiful.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions on that, Alicia? Like, I'm really glad that you brought that one in because I was like, I didn't think to ask it, and when you brought it in, I was like, oh, this is the right take on it. Andrea, is there anything? If not, Alicia, Andrea, is there anything else we should be like? Is there anything else we should be asking you around this? Like, it's fascinating, it's exciting. I want to make sure that like outliers, if they want to get on board, know how to get on board, but also just like to continue to expand some of our thinking around it. And then afterwards, Alicia, I'm going to come to you to see like some of the exciting things that you're bringing up to life right now.
I think really like asking questions about why not. I think probably the most important questions we can ask is why not, and in many fields, right, engineering and internet and science, a lot of fields, like pollution, fight against pollution. So people say, oh, we cannot do that, and then if you don't ask why not, you don't know why. And often what I found out is that people don't even know. And it's more about, oh, the tradition. This is the tradition. We don't used to do that. And they didn't make the decision. Someone made the decision. So someone told them that this is not the tradition. This is not how we do things, which doesn't mean anything, right? So asking that why not is the most powerful question you can ask. And from that, a solution is already born, and a new company is already born, right? A new product. And so that for me, that's the most important question.
Oh, I love this. Like Alex, if you're paying attention, there's different tools that are coming all throughout this conversation here. So right now, I'm hearing the tool of like I wrote down the power of why not, right? Because like it shifts things. And Andrea, one of the things I love about that is you're like, yeah. And then once you start asking the question, like the solution already starts to come to life. Like the company already starts to be born there. So right now, Outliers, we're gonna like this. We do this in real time. It's not just nice to listen. It's here to have it actually like shift things for you. So ask yourself right now, what is the thing right now that you would love to get done? And where is the place where the power of why not would be most effective, or at least even if it's least effective, where you're not asking it, where it would actually go ahead and move some needles for you here. So checking yourself right now, like where's the place where why not should be asked either for yourself internally or for the things that you're creating to help expand and allow you to play out in the world as fully as you can. That's awesome. Thank you for that, Andrea. Alicia, let's give Outliers a chance to see what you're up to in the world right now. Like, what's something you're taking on right now that gives you sweaty palms? And if it doesn't give you sweaty palms, if it makes your like heart come to life, like go ahead and share that. We'd love to hear it.
So I'm working toward a short film that is a story I want to tell that was inspired by my family, and it was one of those. So I was talking before about intuition. When I had the experience, I immediately knew this was something that I needed. I could turn this into a story. I needed to turn it into a story for myself, most of all. And that's something that is really important, I think, for anyone trying to tell a story, is that they really connect deeply with how it resonates with them so that they can inject as much emotion and depth into it as possible. And it was a conversation I had with my second cousin. So my grandmother was named Alicia. I'm named after her. She died of breast cancer. And I never knew her. She died before I was born. And her sister, so my great aunt, was alive. And I went through a journey several years ago with trying to reconnect or even just connect with members of my family who I didn't know and wanted to know more about my history and where my family is from in New Mexico. And I ended up connecting with my grandmother's sister. And then I saw her once. I went to ask her some questions about what it was like to grow up on the farm. And I was trying to understand more about what it was like for my grandmother when she was growing up, because I never knew her. And then I had that one meeting with her, and then she passed away in the COVID era, not of COVID, but I just wasn't able to see her again. She wasn't taking visitors at that point, and it was really sad. So I called her daughter to offer my condolences. And she said, and I was like, Tia Lanchi was so kind. She was just so sweet and soft-spoken and just gentle. And I just really enjoyed getting to know her. And she said, well, Alicia, she was a lot like your grandmother. And in that exact moment, I realized that I had in some way met my grandmother through her. And I'll cry right now if I keep on talking about it. And I just was like, oh my God, like the time that I had with her was me actually talking to my grandmother through her. And I knew instantly that was a feeling that still moves me now, as you can see, that I wanted to be able to inject into a story and write, produce, direct a short film about that. And so this year, I am working toward doing that, which is going to involve so many new things, from fundraising to just dealing with how I want to tell the story. I want to film it in New Mexico, hopefully on some of my family's property. I want to make it really authentic to the small community where my grandmother raised her children, my father, and all of his siblings, and to be able to tell a really unique story on the borderlands of New Mexico in a farming community in southern New Mexico. So it's going to involve so many things I've never done before. I'm scared of the project. I've been scared of the project since I knew I needed to do it, which has been years now, trying to find the time. I've got a lot of client work that I have to do. This is going to be a passion project. I just, there's so many things that make it difficult, but I know that I have to tell the story for me. And that when I do it for me, it will be also for other people. And if I just can connect with the essence of the story that is the most important and write the script, one of the things I'm dealing with now is, am I telling too much in the script? Am I making the script too complicated? Is the one idea that I really want to sell, like communicate through this story, getting buried with all of these other things? And so it's a lot of, like I said, me getting in my own way and trying to work through those things, also being worried about whether or not my family is going to like it. If, people want me to be down there telling a story, if I'm going to be welcomed, if I'm not going to be, if things aren't going to go well, like how am I going to find the crew down there? Just lots of unknowns, so I try to anchor into the purpose of it and just the knowing that it's a story that I'm uniquely situated to tell, right? Because it's a personal story. But also I know that in connecting with my personal experience, other people will see themselves in it, which is the beauty of storytelling, is that a specific story is really all of our stories. And hopefully help other people help process difficult emotion around death and dying, around heritage, around, the truth of what it is to exist. And in terms of, genomics, our heritage, what we inherit from people, not just our DNA, but our cultural understanding of who we are, how that changes from a first generation to a third generation person, from somebody who spoke Spanish natively to somebody like my generation. I didn't grow up learning Spanish. I'm the first generation in my family to not speak Spanish in the home, and how all those things like help shape identity. So it's a big project. It scares me. I need to write the script like ASAP. And so that's what I'm working on.
Oh, my heart like expands. Like there's moments where I feel like I'm like the Grinch because all of a sudden it's like then his heart grew 3 times larger, But there's something in something in what you really said, like even when you said like it moves me, right? I had a coach who talked about, I'm like, hey, I see Outliers as a movement, and he's like, Niyama, I don't believe it yet, and I'm like, why not? It's like, well, if it's a movement, then it should move you, right? Like it's right there in the word. And so when I just want to say, like, from me experiencing you, just even like talking about this and getting into this here, I know that something really special is coming to life here. So I just wanted to say, like, I see it, I feel it, I'm excited for it, and literally as you were talking, I'm like, I cannot wait to come back and watch this video when, like, after this is out in the world. I've just started watching short films on YouTube too. I just started doing it, and you're like, I'm making a short film. I'm like, oh, there might, like, the world is talking in this place. Um, Andrea, I want to give room for you if there's anything that you want to say on this here. I have some questions that came up because of what you said, Alicia, but I want to give Andrea some space in case there's anything he wants to say first.
The first thing, I look forward to watching this short film. And,
Thank you.
and I think it's easy as entrepreneurs, outliers, sometimes to forget about the family and to say I'm gonna spend more time with the family when I'm done. When I succeed, and even if we do not have a clear definition what success means for us. And you can still work a lot and be very successful and be, really thriving, and still, spend time with the family. Also, because then, some, especially older relatives, then one day they will not be there anymore. No, thank you for sharing the story. And, it's made me think a lot about my family as well. So maybe, just message I can give is like never sacrifice the family, and you can still, like, work a lot and be like really hardworking, a person, CEO, and be successful, and spend some time with the family.
Yeah, yeah. You got me slowing down on this one. I have 2 young kids, and I was just talking to my wife, and I was like, oh, like this isn't gonna be here forever. Like there's like I hear when people say, you never know the last time you're gonna pick up your kid. I'm
Yes,
like, it's
yes.
like those things out there that are really playing out. Thank you. Like it's really great. Like I want to say thank you to both of you before we start wrapping up for today. I want to say thank you for you both because what y'all do is very connected and grounded, while at the same time like extremely aspirational. Like, I mean, y'all are looking to change the way that people like go through life or experience life, whether it's through the story or through like the RNA early detection. Like, I'm like, these are cool things. Like, y'all are cool, right? You're doing cool things, but at the same time, you're not losing the humanity behind it. And I really want to like I think that's something really special in this conversation here that really feels like it's coming through, where it could be we could be in like the technicalities of each of the work that we're doing, and instead we're continuing to see like how do you ground yourself as human and use that to go and create something awesome out in the world. And I just really I see you, I respect you all with this. I thought I was going to ask a question around like bigger problems, Alicia. When you started talking this out, I was like, oh, I want to go down the problem route, but I actually think that this is probably a good space for us to start rapping. We're in like a little bit of the heart space. I'm gonna start rapping in coming from this place. So let's do this. The way that I like to end each conversation is twofold. One, I outliers want to know how they can go deeper down the journey with you. So if you can go ahead and share like the best ways for them to come deeper down, come support the projects you're taking on, or to support like or to like come work with you or continue in some way with you, shape, or form, then go ahead and let them know. The second thing, though, along with that, is I like to every time we have a conversation, I like to look at this as like an opportunity for growth, right? And so, if there's something in this conversation that was meaningful for you, an insight that you got that you're leaving this conversation with, I would love for you to go ahead and share it, right? Don't feel like you need to. Like, we've been really honest and open, so like don't like just start making up something right now if it doesn't feel true. But if it does, it would be great. So if you can share how people can go deeper down the journey with you and what's an insight that you're leaving this conversation with. Andrea, will start with you this time, and then Alicia will come to you to bring us home.
Yeah, so no, thank you again for having us. First of all, to get deeper with me, to reach out, feel free to reach out on, via email. You probably, can leave the contact email at the end of the podcast, and also, LinkedIn or through our website, and I respond to everyone.
I will, but feel free to put to just say it out loud for any of us that are just like listening and kind of going through. We'll have it in the descriptions, but just go ahead and let us know if there's anything specific.
And my email is Andrea at danteomics.com, and I respond to everyone. So please feel free to reach out. And I think what really I learned today, and I will not forget, is the importance of the stories and the importance of the people within a stories, not people plural, but each single individual can be a relative, can be a customer, can be someone who we help, and how in theory, very different sectors like creative and science actually super similar, and the feelings, the challenges are actually the same.
Well, thank you, Andrea. I appreciate you being here. Alicia, would you like bringing us home?
Sure. I have an Instagram handle, unsolicited.hi. Unsolicited really just means being able to have the bravery and courage to tell your story, to be unsolicited. Like, no one's going to ask me, oh, Lisa, would you like to make a really impactful short film about, your great aunt and how her death really allowed you to see and connect with a grandmother that you never knew. Like, these stories, you have to identify the opportunity within you, whether it's in the creative arts, whether it's in science, whether it's in finance, and whatever industry that you work in. I feel really that the most successful people, especially entrepreneurial people, are naturally go toward unsolicited projects. They want to create something. No one's going to ask you to do it. You have to see and have a vision for something and then pursue it. So that's why my Instagram for my business is unsolicited. And then I did .hi because HI stands for human intelligence instead of artificial intelligence. Not to totally knock AI is here and it's going to do wonderful things and it's going to do horrible things too. But for me, in storytelling and this type of storytelling that I do, it's the human intelligence and the human emotion and the human aspect of it that is why I do it and what I like to get out of it. And so I'm on Instagram over there talking about my projects and other things. And I think that the thing that I will walk away with is that everything is connected. Everything's connected. And as one person who a subject of a documentary I worked on years ago said, if it's connected, it's affected, and everything's connected. So everything is affected. And to operate with that principle in mind.
Well, I am deeply grateful for each of you. I'm feeling the connection here. I'm feeling how you've all impacted me here today. I got a chance as a result of this conversation to dive deeper into what it actually means to be an outlier for me and the stories that I want to be telling, as well as just like the connection with my family right now. Like I did not expect it to show up, but I realized that like there's a reason why behind all the things that I'm out there to do. There's a reason why behind it, and you all brought me back into that. Outliers, like as we end this conversation, feel free to like share like the insights you're taking. Take, even if you don't tell us, like take some time right now to say like, how am I going to change? How am I going to, what am I going to do with what just came here? Who am I choosing to be as a result of listening to this and experiencing this conversation with us? And until the next time we all talk, remember to be you on purpose.